This Overwatch 2 support hero needs a buff or even a rework. I have finally reached the point where I'm going to be talking about Mercy genuinely needing help. Look, everyone, I do my level best to be fair to all the roles. You know, I'm primarily a DPS player and I play tank and support equally as much. And I try to play pretty much all the characters throughout the week because I just like it. I love all the heroes equally, even if some of them are a little bit silly. However, I do think a character like Mercy has been on a very, very bad receiving end of the patch note changes, indirect nerfs towards her entire gameplay, and it is high time that we do something to help this character in all fairness. Now, before I jump into the video and give my suggestions and explain how I would change up Mercy's kit, I want everybody listening to pay attention to what I'm about to say. First of all, before I talk about Mercy, I'm going to be talking about it in a fair way. The way Blizzard likes to balance things is they like to shift power from one part of the kit to power in another part of the kit. Understanding this is the criteria that I'm going to trying to go forward with. Outside of this, I might be giving some of my own personal suggestions for a Mercy rework on how that would look like. I've been looking at a lot of videos from a lot of other Mercy content creators out there, 𝐒𝐿𝐻, Neandra, and a lot of other people, small, big ones, you know, everybody. And I feel, and you know, I've been playing some Mercy myself. I like to play her every now and then when I'm playing with my friends and just pocket their playstyles. But I've definitely started to feel the frustration that's there when playing her, and I definitely think no hero should be in such a terrible state. So as you all know, I'm fair about all this type of stuff. So let's not waste any time and get started with how would I help the current state of Mercy. In order to understand how we're going to be helping Mercy and her kid going forward, we must understand where is she struggling in right now. With the DPS passive being at 20% again, Mercy by far has taken the biggest hit to her entire healing output, and unfortunately, Mercy is one of those supports who is not a do-it-all like Baptiste, Ana, and Kiriko, where even if they're not healing, there's another way that they could contributing into the team fight. Because of the fact that Mercy does suffer from this as a problem, she's limited by design, limited by the fact that she can either only heal at once at a time towards a single target, or damage boost a target at a time, or res and break off her healing at a time. You guys see the pattern over here that Mercy can only really do one thing at a time. I heal, I res, I damage boost, okay? And it's not like she can do all of these things at once. For example, Bap and Ana, they can very seamlessly, and even Kiriko, transition from their healing to damage without a problem. Mercy gets a delay to when she swaps into her pistol, and her pistol can feel a little bit inconsistent sometimes with its damage output, and that's about it. She also doesn't really have anything else helping her with her pistol. Like, for example, if she swaps weapons, she would get new abilities to help her with a little bit more aggressive playstyle. Although that would be a very fun idea to experiment with, to allow her to, you know, put the staff down sometimes, understand that sometimes you just gotta lock the Glock and run it down mid. Alright, jokes aside. So definitely, if I was to just look at the kit right now and give it a fast solution, unfortunately, I think it is high time that we would have to buff Mercy's healing up to 60 healing per second to start and see how things go. This is because the DPS passive is very, very powerful, and one of the biggest pain points of a character that Mercy could enable was Pharah. Now, this is going to be my biggest argument going forward, was that I was always against buffing Mercy because Pharah would become a problem. And dare I say it, that Pharah is actually in a pretty good spot to the point where she doesn't need Mercy first and foremost, and second of all, Pharah doesn't even play the Skybox playstyle, and if anything, these days, a lot of Mercy content creators and myself, we all agree that nowadays when you try to play Mercy with the Pharah, it actually feels counterintuitive to the way that you want to play Mercy, and it actually feels like you're putting yourself more at risk because the Pharah's new movement is so jittery and all over the place that you don't have that smoothness like you used to, where you could use the, you know, extreme height and playing behind all the rooftops in order to stay alive. So this as a playstyle option for Mercy is also now gone. It's not that bad on Echo because Echo also very quickly goes up and very quickly comes down. So no, like, you know, there's never been that much of a problem. Yeah, Echo and Mercy can be a little bit too strong together, but definitely it's not that much of a problem to the point where Far Mercy was pub stomping low elo games without a problem. So with the respect to the fact that Pharah is a little bit more out of the picture and hitscan is the name of the game and looks like hitscan will be the name of the game going forward for a while, I do think that it's not unreasonable to put a little bit more power into Mercy's kit. Damage boost also took a big hit a while back where it went down from 30 to 25%. With it being in the state that it is, they could even experiment with nerfing the damage boost down to 20% and allowing, you know, Mercy's healing to go up. This could be one form of shifting the power within Mercy's kit. Another way you could shift power in Mercy's kit, and I know a lot of Mercies are not going to like this one, and every Mercy Mafia, every Mercy player watching this just pulled out their Glocks. They're aiming at me. I can feel them behind me right now. I can feel it. Don't shoot. Don't shoot. But this would be the one thing you would have to do to justify giving power into her staff, is the power that had to be taken away from her movement. I know I'm about to die. So I can't believe I said the forbidden thing that nobody else has the balls to say. Basically, what I'm saying here is that the biggest frustrating point for the low elo players, because they're the ones that complain about this the most when Mercy becomes viable or sees more, you know, play, is the fact that Mercy can be very difficult to kill. So my advice to those players that are trying to rank up and climb the ladder is one thing. First of all, get good. If you can't even kill a Mercy, what's wrong with you, bro? Like, how do you expect to be a diamond level player, masters level player, GM level player, if you're sitting there and whining like a little bitch about the fact that you can't shoot the most predictable, most easiest target to trace? It's really not that difficult. And there's like, what, like 1% of the Mercy player base that actually understands how to use her movement. A majority of them legit just hold spacebar and float midair, and you just snipe them out of the sky with any hit scan that you can pick. And if you're good with the projectile heroes, you can easily delete them. So I kind of had to stick up for the Mercy players over there, because I'm not gonna lie, I've been seeing so many Mercies in quick play, and they're so easy to kill, to the point that when I see somebody on Twitter complaining or on Reddit complaining that, oh my god, Mercy's movement, it's so hard to keep up with, like, bro, what are you doing? Like, are you like aiming like 1 pixel per turn of your mouse? Like, do you just like slightly turn and you can't land a shot? Like, if you're struggling that much, please get an aim trainer, because like what makes you think you're a player that deserves to rank up if you cannot even shoot targets like that? Especially when they also did nerf the fact that if a Mercy uses the Guardian Angel tech, she will be punished, and she gets almost a 2.5 second cooldown instead of the usual original cooldown. I forgot how the whole thing works, but what I do know is that she will get a slightly longer cooldown than before. Okay, I just had to get the rant out of the way, because it's honestly really ridiculous to see these type of comments saying shit like, oh no, you know, well, Mercy, you know, she runs away. Yeah, but that's the only thing she has going for her, and unfortunately, that's also the only thing in her kit that has any form of skill expression. I'm sorry, Mercy players, like, this is kind of true. The only thing you have in your kit that genuinely has a form of really good skill expression is the movement. Outside of that, the getting used to the healing and the damage beam is really not that difficult. The Caduceus Blaster, you know, her pistol, the Glock, like lock the Glock, hashtag lock the Glock, Mercy means let's rise up and start gunning down the devs' doors and getting this hero into a better spot. Might have started a new movement, you know. RG started hashtag 𝐒𝐿𝐍𝐿. We're gonna start a new movement called hashtag lock the Glock. It's gonna be hilarious for Mercy. I have my little jokes aside, but my point is basically, you know, in order for us to help Mercy out here, my rant aside and everything, you know, there is a potential where if we do want to move power into the healing and perhaps damage boost, we would have to axe or, you know, increase the cooldowns on the Guardian Angel and perhaps nerf Guardian Angel and how it works. But this is clearly not what the Mercy players want, and I do believe that the developers understand this too. So this is obviously not a solution. It is just a form of solution that we can suggest. Now, my third solution, and this one's a very fun one, is I've been really trying to think of an idea, but so far this is all I could come up with, and that's kind of why this video took a minute too, is I thought, how about we remove res, and the way we give Mercy power is E is going to be a new ability where Mercy has to charge up a resource meter by using healing, the healing that is being done, and then damage boost that is being done. And when this meter gets charged up, I know it's still going to sound like a little bit boring, but it will help Mercy, and it'll be a little bit more balanced this way, is we will call it the new Caduceus Staff Overcharge or something like that. So it will be called like the Caduceus Overcharge. And what happens is after you fill up this resource meter, you know, Mercy presses E, and for like 10 seconds or 8 seconds into a team fight, you know, the Caduceus staff now overcharges, and it allows Mercy to heal for like 60 healing per second. It allows Mercy to now do 30% damage boost. So in that moment, you know, there's a little bit more power going to the Mercy, and she's going to, you know, incentivize the person in front of her to go and make a play. And if they fail to make a play, well, then you basically lose the team fight anyway. Now, I don't think that this is broken or silly enough, because the thing here is, unfortunately, Mercy also gets countered by, you guessed it, the person in front of her. Mercy is the most, and by far the most, teammate reliant character within this game. There is no other character in this game that relies so heavily on the person in front of her to do the right thing and win the fight in order to justify Mercy as a pick. This is why Mercy has always been a support that gets put on the back burner. Is you don't just want the healing, you want your support to contribute in other ways too. Mercy is somebody who pretty much has an entirely passive, like, supportive, genuinely supportive playstyle. And you know what? I think it's okay to have characters like that, but we need to find a way to help them feel better. So I think, this new Caduceus Overcharge may not be a bad idea either. Again, it's good. It's a little bit boring, like it's not like some big flashy ability. I'm going to get there. I have one more suggestion after this, and then I'm going to hear what you guys have to say. So I think Caduceus Overcharge would also be really fun because it would be a limited time, and Mercies would have to be careful. So it would be something like and the resource meter wouldn't just easily charge up. It would take a little bit of time. So it would allow Mercy to maybe even like save that Caduceus Overcharge, activate Valkyrie, and then Caduceus Overcharge. So now Valkyrie is healing a lot more. And yeah, I know, like, healing creep and shit like that. But honestly, Mercy is one of those characters right now where it wouldn't be that bad to have. She definitely needs help, and that's just kind of my suggestion with the Caduceus Overcharge thing. I think that'd be cool, and it doesn't move away too much from like Mercy's hero identity, because that's something that they do their best to keep. It's like, we want to stay true to her lore. Mercy is kind of a pacifist. She really doesn't want to be aggressive unless she has to, and she kind of just enables her teammates instead. So I think this kind of falls into that area too. Now comes to my fourth and final suggestion: is the current kit for Mercy stays the same, and we start experimenting with a completely new Valkyrie ultimate. This is probably going to be the most controversial take in here, and I can feel the guns getting pointed at me again, because now they're like, whoa, Valkyrie is a great ultimate. I mean, Valkyrie is a budget transcendence, which is not even that good, and it's mostly used for engagement purposes. And well, there's a lot of Mercy players out there that do not know how to use the, Valkyrie as an ultimate, which is really depressing. But that aside, I do believe that perhaps instead of reworking her entire kit, if the Blizzard balance team is so stubborn about it, perhaps a way to approach Mercy would be to change up her ultimate into something that allows her to make plays rather than enabling plays, allowing Angela to, step it up and move into a different part of her character. I think, if she activates Valkyrie, we could try to experiment with some of the stuff that we saw in the Vengeance Mercy over on the Mirrorwatch stuff. Instead of healing and damage boosting, she can now shoot. Now, the way you balance this out, and you can lower the damage numbers just a little bit, so the way Mercy would now support her team, and she would fit easily in a dive-like playstyle, is she would swoop down with her team and start applying damage, and, basically, again, maintaining her core supportive playstyle, is applying some damage, not too much, just enough to where she can support her diving DPS and diving tank in order to secure some kills. I don't think this would be a bad idea either. I don't think the soul explosion ability from the Mirrorwatch has to be a thing. That thing was actually really broken, so that's not going to be a thing. But I do think having the ability where she can shoot out the damage and, damage people, like the orbs that she shot out. You guys know what I mean, right? When she like Valks and Mirrorwatch, she starts shooting out these projectiles. I think having that, instead of the, I press Q and my gameplay style remains the same and now I'm just flying, is instead we could just enable her to now help her team in a different way. And it would also encourage a more proactive playstyle on Mercy. One of the more frustrating points on Mercy can also be is that she's very reactive and she's not actually proactive. So this would allow Mercy players to kind of step out of that little comfort zone and, also try to make a play with their team. We've also kind of seen this new support design anyway with Iliari and the way her ultimate works, where she kind of goes in with her team and tries to get like some big kills. So you know what, like I'm actually not opposed to that. I think if this is the new style of support ultimates, where rather than increasing damage or giving you speed or just giving you health to survive, if we can have like more supports that with their ultimates they try to go in with you and get kills, I'm actually not opposed to that, because then you make certain characters more fun to play, right? It's like, okay, I played this loop of Mercy for a while, and now comes my big gameplay moment. It's kind of why I like playing Iliari a lot. On Iliari, you have to balance being both, like a little bit passive, a little bit heal body, but also knowing when to take your angles and getting shots. So with the way Mercy would work is, you would have to balance out, let's just say like you take all my ideas together, you'd have to balance out and be pretty good with the healing stuff. You'd get the healing power increase through the new Caduceus Overcharge, and then your Q, your Q would be turned into like this like projectile shooting staff where you just like you get to fly in with your team, and start applying some damage and trying your best to secure kills. This way we also cut back on the AoE healing in the game, and we will be taking away the concept of pocketing. So that is something that we get to take away and experiment with something new. I think it would be something fun, and that's just my personal opinion on it. However, I would really love to hear all your guys' changes and suggestions down below. I know there's a lot of people that'll be like, whatever, it's good that Mercy is bad. Guys, look, like, we have to be a little bit fair. I've been standing up for the tank role, I've been standing up for the damage role, and I stood up for Ana, and I'm definitely going to stand up for Mercy because I'm a fair guy. I don't just talk about and keep a bias for like 1 or 2 roles, right? Like, Mercy is definitely a character that needs help. So the way, like I said again, the way I've kind of come about this is I'm trying to expand the gameplay style and add some new elements into the character while taking away some frustrations. I want to take away res and the big AoE healing because a lot of people hate that. I also want to discourage the pocketing playstyle but encourage a more proactive playstyle. So I feel like, let's say if Mercy's kit really was the one, like let's say if I take my ideas and put them together, like you have your, you have your staff, your E is now this new Caduceus overcharge that allows you to get back your previous breakpoints. You still are a single target healer, so you're still limited by design in some ways, but you have a new mini game to play where if you charge up your resource meter, you can, then coordinate with your team, and in those 10 seconds, like really be a big playmaking factor to help with the healing and the damage boost, where they get their, all values back. And then finally, by the time you build up your new ultimate, your Valkyrie or Flight of the Valkyries or whatever you want to call it, with your new ultimate now, what you'd be able to do is take a more proactive approach, and you could, you can still fly to your teammates, go in with them, dive with them, and start applying some damage. And of course, the numbers would have to be reasonable and not overwhelming like they were in the Mirror Watch, but it would be really, really cool and really, really fun if she could do that. Of course, we could also nerf the way or the cooldown on the Guardian Angel when she's in Valk, in order for her to not be like this infinitely mobile support that can gun you down. Like, to a reasonable rate, we could experiment with the time, like the cooldowns and everything. But I definitely would like to see Mercy go in a bit of a different direction, because as much as I hate to say it, and this one is more for the Mercy players out there, unfortunately, as long as her kit remains the same and the way it is now, Mercy will not ever see proper changes to help her. They would genuinely have to change bits and pieces of her kit. I like my idea. I think it's cool. Anyways, with that being said, everybody, that's going to be it for the video. If you enjoy this type of content and want to see more, Overwatch suggestions, guides, news, live streams, I'll probably be streaming by the time this one goes out. All you have to do is drop by a like and subscribe. It helps support the channel for free. And most importantly, if you want to support a final year university student trying to get his master's degree, then all you have to do is use the super chat, and it means the absolute world to me. Thank you so much for the support. As always, let's get to 5K subscribers soon, and I will see you in the next live stream and video.